weekend, and as always, it's time for the James Freel Show. I'm your host, James Freel, and I gotta say, I think I got a great show. I normally don't use a word like that to describe it, but I had a very eventful week. How was your week? How'd it go? Because I gotta tell you, I had, I don't want to say it was a great week, although it definitely was. It was more than anything else, it was an eventful week. And I definitely have a lot to talk about, and I don't have to sit here and ramble about nonsense to fill up 30 minutes like I normally do. Yeah, it was not only an eventful week for me, but it was for the news also, so news for the uninformed also pretty decent. I know the music's still going, but that's what I have to talk about. Might as well jump right into it, getting any second that I can. So let's go ahead and hop right in to news for the uninformed. See how I'm timing it there. Alrighty. A couple of papers. I actually wrote stuff out. I didn't type it out like I used to back in the summer of 2018. But if nothing else, I got it, at least an outline, so I know what I'm going to talk about. So the top story, I don't have any story typed out or any words, but basically there's that shooting in New Zealand. It was pretty morbid from what I understand, because the dude, put a GoPro or something on his helmet and filmed himself, or live streamed himself shooting up some mosques in New Zealand, and it looks like a frickin' Call of Duty game from what I hear, which is horrible to compare to, but I mean, geez, I don't want to give that any more attention, so that's the top story news. Also, the senator, someone, blocked Trump's thing to build a wall or something, and he tweeted out veto. Also, Beto O'Rourke threw his hat in the ring for presidency, the Democratic nomination. There's big things going on right now. In sports, it's been a very eventful week for NFL free agency. Feels like it might have even been earlier than this, but Antonio Brown is going to the Raiders. Le'Veon Bell is going to the New York Jets. Nick Foles signed with the Jaguars, and Jason Witten is coming back out of broadcasting. Some of those might be more than a week old, but it's still eventful. Also, last night I was watching Xavier play Villanova, and Xavier led for I think over 3/4 of the game, and the game went to overtime, and they couldn't hold on. It was a fun game to watch, though. And in pop culture, this really could have also been the top story, but a bunch of 50, there's a big college scandal of rich people bribing schools. I think the highest profile person is Aunt Becky from Full House. Her daughter, her mom had to bribe to get her into USC, which I gotta say, I mean, I could understand Stanford and Yale, but USC, I mean, it's not Ivy League. I think someone spent over $500,000 to get her in. I mean, just give her that money. I don't know. I'm gonna insert my opinion into that story, though. I'm gonna go ahead and give it. I think that first off, I don't think it's anything that deserves jail time. That might not be a popular opinion, but I mean, can't you just buy the college a building and then get your kid in that way? I mean, that happens all the time. It's big news, rich people have advantages. Yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. And the daughter of Aunt Becky or whatever is getting a lot of heat because she had said on a video that she really doesn't care about class or college or learning. And listen, I went to college. Maybe another reason why it doesn't bother me is because I went to college for 4 years, for longer than that, but I got a 4-year degree. And first off, I didn't learn much of anything. I've given that rant before. And so for one, I don't feel like, especially if you're not majoring in something that's very career oriented, I don't see it as, oh, this person got opportunities you didn't, because college really doesn't open that many doors anymore. But also, listen, I'd say a good in the programs I was in, I can't speak for the sciences because I majored in something that was very not career oriented. So, yeah, I'd say about probably 60 to 70% of the people I saw and met there didn't care about class. They were there for the game day experience. They were there to party. And just like everyone who's outraged over this, and I don't mean to be one of those guys like, this is just outrage culture. It seems like most people who are outraged by this are the same people who went to college for the same exact reason, to party. I don't know. It just doesn't bother me. Maybe it should. I'm open to having my mind changed and listening to a different point of view as to why I should be upset about it. But I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, people shouldn't be bribing. But in that case, we should take away donations and legacy scholarships and all that jazz. I don't know. Okay, like I said, I'm open to having my mind changed, and I would listen to someone who has a different opinion, but as far as I'm concerned, it just really does not bother me that much at all. So maybe it's because I have a degree and I don't realize what I have. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Okay, so moving on. That was a little new segment, like James's opinion on the uninformed or something. Who knows? Who knows? Hit the pause button here for a second before we go into rambling. Alright, I'm back now to jump into the rambling section. I'm definitely coming down off of a coffee crash. That's one of the bonus things I've been talking about. I give up alcohol every Lent. I think I've said that. But is it really giving... I'm not Catholic, but is it really sacrificing something if you're, replacing it with something else, which I'm replacing it with coffee. And, coffee used to make me feel like $1,000. Now it just, like, makes me feel like $50 maybe. And so when I went to this local non-chain coffee shop, and across the street from it were two Jehovah's Witnesses. They had like this little stand set up, and part of me really wanted to just like ask them about it, just because the topic of religion fascinates me, but I didn't feel like dealing with it because it kind of is wasting their time if you're not going to even consider which. I mean, I'd go through the pamphlet and read it out of curiosity, but I would know deep down I'm not becoming a Jehovah's Witness. There's a good probably 20 or 30 religions I would consider, including like all the different Christian denominations that are ahead of them in line. So yeah, it would have just been a waste of time. I did see someone post about how there are some, and this dude I know is like really, really into Jesus and stuff, and he said he had a talk with them, a debate and everything, so there's that. It was sort of funny when I was walking back. I had avoided them, and when I was going back, these two gentlemen, or this one dude, looked about to be in high school, walked up, and he was in front of me, thank goodness, because then they didn't approach me. And I heard him saying something about raising money to send the baseball team to Florida. I'm like, why are you going up to two people trying to spread religion? Are you asking them for money? Because I'm pretty sure that that's what they're doing. Is asking for, not, I mean, not directly. They're trying to get you to join first, but that was just kind of funny. I don't know what they were expecting. People don't exactly just come up to you and like, oh, you know what? I would like to change my religion today. What do you have to offer? I feel like I don't know. Like, what are the odds of actually getting a convert? That's the other thing. I really feel like they would have been like, oh, we got a live one here. Had I gone up and asked questions, but I would have to be brutally honest, like being, listen, I'm probably not going to. In fact, I'm most definitely just take 100, like 99% sure I'm not going to. So anyway, so I've said before that excuse me, my new job requires traveling And you all know I'm in the southwestern Ohio area. Well, this week I got to go all the way down about an hour and a half down south into Kentucky. And I gotta say, for only driving an hour away, it sort of surprised me how thick the accents can become. That's my best redneck accent, even though I have no ill will towards the rednecks. I want to appropriate their lifestyle because I love the houses, and that's the thing. I drove by so many houses that I'm just like, oh, geez, I want to live in that one. No, I want to live in that one. I want to know how much these houses cost because they've just got a lot of land, and I saw quite a few farm animals. And I eventually would like to own chickens, and I want to have enough land for them to run around. You know, the chicken coop has to be at least 100 yards, I think, away from your house. And so you gotta own quite a bit of property to raise chickens. And I would love to do that. But, my budget, it's gonna be a small house, big land is the hope. That's the fully realized dream. Um, and it was a great drive. I took two different routes there and back, so I just sort of got to see the hills of Kentucky, and that's sort of cool. I mean, you don't think about that part of it when you're watching UK play basketball, but yeah, it was an area. I think it was a little bit just slightly northeast of Lexington. I don't want to give away the exact location, but good area, good area. I approached it from the northeast and then went home northwest because I was already on the east side when I went there and left for it. So beyond that, this week also some exciting information. I am officially no longer going to be. I'm moving in with my wife to be. I am engaged, and we've made a deposit on a place we will both live at. Um, I'm very excited. I love the building. It's got an exposed brick wall, which I think really gives the room some character. It looks really cool. That also helps with home defense, because if you got a shotgun or something, you got to use it. Hopefully that brick wall will serve as a great backdrop if I ever have to and doesn't kill my next door neighbor's pet or something. I'm just saying. I mean, it's a fact of life. You gotta. I don't even own a shotgun. I don't even own a firearm. But I've been poking around the idea of it. Um, the only thing, normally I was planning on staying where I'm at in order to attack some more student loans and do it quicker. But the rent here is a great deal. It's in a great area. We both want to live in this area. And it's like, why don't we just jump on this now so we can secure this? I have been attacking my student loans a lot more, and that feels really good to do. Uh, now that the number is just going in the right direction, it's just fantastic. I've paid off probably about 25% of mine so far. Um, maybe not that much. Let's see. 20 times 0.25. I've paid about 20%, and it'll get done. Um, I have very little overhead right now, but I'm thinking the two of us will be out of this mess in about 3 years. And one way that I came closer to doing this, and I just made another payment now, is as I've said before, my new job, it involves a lot of traveling, and they provide a company vehicle. And I've had my own personal car since 2016, since March of that year. So I had that car exactly 3 years. And because today I officially sold it, and it has hit me that it's gone. Let me go ahead and tell the story of how I did. So I was very, very lazy about. I was dragging my feet selling it because part of me really, really didn't want to, and I didn't know where to price it. I put the Kelly Blue Book value it was selling for between $2,900 and $4,500. And then I looked at Craigslist, and everyone's prices were really low. I was just like, geez. Originally, I wanted to put it up for $4,500, and then I saw these prices, and it might have been a mistake for me to put it up for what I did. I put it up for 4,000 or best offer because I wanted some takers, and I did not expect the amount of attention that I got for it. I probably got around 25 different people within 4 or 5 hours messaged me. And the first person who messaged seemed like a very nice individual, and they said, we want to come look at it. When are you free? And this was on, I believe this was Thursday. Yeah, it was Thursday. And I explained, well, I mean, I can tonight. I also got my taxes done that evening, so I wanted to get that done, but then I would have it be available that evening. And it rained extremely hard Thursday night, but luckily it cleared up, so they were able to come take a look at it. And there's some nervous. I've never sold a car before, and I think I'm kind of proud of how I handled it. They came out. They were an elderly couple. They, I mean, I was nervous about, cause and my theory is this: I think they knew as much about buying a car as I did about selling a car, because they would do the whole, and I was expecting the whole, oh, you got this dent here, oh, you got air conditioning's not icy cold, all this is the engine. But they weren't really aggressive or mean about it, and I expected a lot more aggression. And the fact that they were so nice, I was like, man, more people come, there are going to be some pretty rough individuals. You get a lot of creeps on Facebook. And I even told them that. I was like, you folks were the first ones to message me. And when I look at the, I can't negotiate. And we just said, listen, you get a lot of individuals who are of questionable character, and they agreed. And I told them, listen. So I put up 4,000, and we drove up to this restaurant. They were buying it for their granddaughter where she worked, and she hopped out to take a look at it, and she seemed to like it. And while the lady was inside, the guy asked me, so you're asking 4,000, what would you come down? And I said, yeah, I know I'm not going to get 4,000. That's why I put it up and negotiate. And he says, so, and I said, well, I told him honestly, I did get a lot more attention on social media than I expected. So I am willing to try the field. And he's like, well, what if I showed up with 3,500 tomorrow? And I'm like, well, let me think. And he's like, why don't you think about it on the way home? So I did, and I had initially told myself before I went out, I'm not going to let this car go for less than 3,800 because of all the attention it's getting. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, these seem like nice people, so I get the bonus of feeling good about what I sold. This has been a headache. I don't know if I'm interested in a bunch of people coming over and taking a look at it and test driving it and all that. So I said, can you do 36? And he said he'd do 36. And so we shook hands. And yeah, maybe I would have gotten about that if I took it to a dealer. But, I'm just happy. Hopefully it's going to a nice place. That was the first car I bought myself. And that car was good to me. I tried to be good back to it. The nicest thing I ever did for it was keep it in a garage during the winter as much as possible. But, hope no one smokes in it. I got to keep the license plates. And yeah, I'm going to hold on to those. Oh boy. Yeah, that's a tough sell. Obviously, sentimental value doesn't translate into cash at all. But Yeah, so that money that I got, a lot of it's going to student loans. Some of it's going to go into trying to fill up the new place we're going to have with furniture and all that jazz. Geez, is this what episode is this? This 60. I think this is actually 64. I've got it written on the college admission scandals and the banality of scamming. I don't care. Banality, does that mean it's not that big of a deal? Because I don't know. I already said earlier that I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, it is, but what are you gonna do? What are you going to do? You're gonna look up what episode. Okay, this is 64. My apologies. I gotta thank the person again who made the icon for this, because I still, every time I see that, I can't believe that that's my. It looks legit, you know. It does. It looks pretty good. Yeah, change 63 to 64. Hope you can't hear that clicking. So yeah, I've been drinking coffee. I watched a movie this week, Double Indemnity. That was a good movie. I give that one like an 8 out of 10. That was a good, solid episode. Not episode, but movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. What else do I got? What else do I got? Gonna keep on. How much time? Man, I thought I had enough here to ramble, but like I said, I had enough events going on this week. Last night I started Citizen Kane, and I gotta tell you, I only got about halfway through it, then I needed to go to bed because I was tired. I don't see what the big deal is. I really don't. I want it to be. I want to enjoy it the way people seem to, but it's not bad. It's not that bad. The movie. It's my best Netherlands accent. Uh, Maybe it gets really good in the second half. I'm gonna finish it. I have to finish it. And I mean, I'm enjoying it. Don't get me wrong, but it's not that great. It's just it is what it is. Dang it! Why isn't this working? I guess I can't zoom in when I. So there's that. The Double Indemnity, that was great. I like to think that I have a decent taste for music. I mean, not music, movies. Um, I watch a lot of them from all eras. I was thinking today, what are some of my favorite movies so people can get an idea? Well, I love Stanley Kubrick. When someone asks me what my all-time favorite is, I hate to go here, but 2001: A Space Odyssey is great. Um, Annie Hall definitely comes to mind. So the trifecta of Woody Allen movies for me are Annie Hall, Hannah and Her Sisters, Crimes and Misdemeanors, and I guess I would throw Manhattan in there also. Manhattan's pretty great. But there are so many great Woody Allen movies that I've never seen one that I really hated. They were all pretty good. I was thinking of Donnie Darko. That's a pretty good movie. Although I can watch that movie 100 times and I still don't fully get it. And I don't know if it just makes me feel smart. Shining is great. The Shining. And I think that's one of the examples where the movie was better than the book. I think I've said before that really annoys me. People say the book's always better than the movie. Same goes for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and The Wizard of Oz. Those are all other two classics. Something else I've been doing this week is so the local newspaper for the small town that I live in. I did not know that it gets archived in the library going all the way back to 1948. So today I went in there and I just wanted to look at what was on the cover when the president was shot. And I get that it's a local paper, but it did have a photo of him, and I just had to see, what happened when this happened. That was crazy when that happened. And the guy I sold the car to today, he's turning 60. He either just turned 69 or he's about to. But I asked him, so he was talking about how old he was. I'm like, are you a child of the 70s? And he's like, no. I'm like, 80s? He's like, no. I'm like, 60s. I think he didn't look that old, but I could tell like this guy's older than he looks. He's looking really good for his age. And he was in 8th grade when JFK was shot, because I told him I love U.S. history. I asked him, what happened. He's like, they put on the radio or the television, I think, when it happened. But that, and then I also looked up football stats from when I was in high school. There were a lot of memorable football games, and we lost to our main rival my senior year, but we beat 2 other teams that I had grown to hate, that we hadn't beat in over 10 years at the time each. One of them was like 17 years. So, we had one of the greatest comebacks my freshman year, or maybe it was 8th grade. I don't know. It was like 28-21, and that game was almost worth the drawback of it. That kind of annoyed me this morning. There's no specific person who goes and gets the newspapers for you, so I have to ask when I went to return it. The guy I returned it to was not the same person that I had retrieved it from, and so when I went to give it back, he was like, next time, just ask one of us to help, and you don't come back here. And I explained to him, yeah, that's what I've been doing. He's like, oh, okay. I don't know if he fully bought it, but I had been. The second I checked out 2 different ones. The second time, someone sitting behind the desk had explained to me, like, you can bring it back yourself. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then she had helped me because it was underneath the giant stack to keep it in order. But that's a really great resource, as far as I'm concerned, of newspapers. Just going back and seeing your local history, that's a cool part of it. And especially the fact that high school sports are very important to me. They're very memorable. So I'd say the rock band class that I'm in was the number 1 memory of high school that I have. Followed extremely, it might be marching band. I was a band geek, but I loved high school football. And my school, we never won any state titles. We won a few playoff games when I was young. I don't know. Had some great coaches and all that jazz. But I had a great, just the fact that that's been archived and saved, and I'll be able to go back and read through some of it for decades to come, hopefully. Although hopefully I won't be living in this town. Not that I hate this town, but I do think I need to go somewhere else. I don't know. Did this episode turn out as good as I hyped it up at the beginning? I'm going to go ahead and say no. But I had an eventful week, and I think I did a decent job of explaining it and conveying it to the only listener who really actually cares about this show, and probably the only person in the planet who ever made it this far. So here's to you, James. You did it again. You entertained yourself, and you recorded down your thoughts for the future. I got this pen. Yeah, anyway, really, that really does suck what happened in New Zealand. That's a real tragedy. No way to end it on a downer. I guess when I don't have anything else. I made a steak last night, and it was really good, and I plan on making more. Way to change gears like that. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. If you did, that's going to be the show for this week. Go ahead and listen to it next week if you feel so inclined. Going to thank the person again who made that image for me. It looks great, and I'm extremely satisfied with it. I will see you all next week. Take care. Bye.